Kram from Spiderbait, welcome to noise11.com, and good to see a very active 2025 early in the year for this band.
G'day, buddy. It's good to see you again.
So you're out with the lookout dates. They're the first ones to get you out. You did some shows in 2024. They were very, very interesting shows. And looking at the set list that you did from the shows last year, you went right back to that very first album and sort of gave the audience a little piece of everything along the way.
The Black Betty tour was it was wonderful. It was a big surprise in a way to us, just how big the tour was, successful, I guess, but also very euphoric emotionally. Like, the Forum and Enmore shows were some of our favourite shows we've ever done. There were also extra special moments for me when my kids got up and played with us on a few different songs, and they've become really good musicians and playing a lot of those really old songs that you mentioned off the first record. We hadn't played them for a long time, and it's interesting for us just how you're sort of paying tribute and continuing on the great friendship and of our old fans who've been with us for so many years. But there's such a new bunch of fans that maybe had never seen us before, and we really noticed that from that tour. And a lot of our festival shows in the past few years have had that. So there's this kind of carrying over of the generations to come and see us play. And that was evident on stage and definitely off stage as well. So, that tour was really special for us. We really enjoyed it.
Having your son Lonnie up there and your daughter up there as well, who plays cello, which is very impressive. I don't think I've ever seen Spiderbait with cello prior to this. Is that an instrument you might want to introduce into the band moving forward?
Yeah, and she doesn't even have a distortion pedal on it or anything. So, But look, the song that she performed was By the Time I Get to How Long, which was a song I wrote many years ago, and I was obsessed with Jimmy Webb, and it's on Grand Slam, and I put a whole bunch of strings on. It's just me playing acoustic and singing, I guess in my best attempt to impersonate Glenn Campbell kind of voice, because I love that sort of stuff. And put a whole bunch of, at the time the record was made Grand Slam in 98, so the virtual strings that you could get on your computer were pretty, they worked, but you listen to it today and it sounds pretty, very, very virtual. So when we were going to do the tour, I'm like, do you want to have a go at playing this song? And as soon as she started playing it, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I wish you were around in 1998. I would have recorded you then, But also the song's very sentimental. It's just like, for us, I guess there's lots of references, particularly in my lyrics, to what it was like growing up in the middle of nowhere. This kind of the middle of nowhere songs, this vast sort of emptiness of the Australian landscape, not just geographically but philosophically as well, in a sense. And that's what that sort of song conjures, an empty, kind of pointless and yet addictive road trip that it is. And to share the song with her, and then Janet got up and played harmonica, which was really cool, and Whit played some beautiful guitar, so it was a really nice four-piece. And then when Lonnie gets up and plays with us, it's totally different. Like Elkie has this, I guess, presence of the room sort of stops. I mean, she's just turned 15, but she's very in the moment. But Lonnie's a very quiet sort of guy, but when he gets on the drums, he just lets completely loose. It's like a totally different personality. So it's like they're very juxtaposed in their performance styles. And I'm really proud of them. She also got up with us when we did an ARC tour last year where we did Led Zeppelin 4, and she got up and did Kashmere, which was pretty impressive. And all the guys were like, holy shit, this 14-year-old girl can play Kashmere. So, it's beautiful. And I love that with all the bands. Same with the Finns. And there's been a lot of history of that where, the musical families and the music goes on, and so does the vibe. And for us, I guess it's a bit similar.
Well, Mark Seymour's daughter pops up with Hunters and Collectors. Of course, you've got the Barnes family. So, this next generation carrying on. And, like they've learnt the family business in a way. They're not coming into this with any sort of aspirations of stardom, are they? They've seen how Dad went to work and made a living, and that paid for their school, and that paid, for everything that they did as kids. Yeah. So are they seeing this from a much purer introduction into the music industry as an industry, more so than as what it was in the 90s, which was all about fame and fortune.
You might say from a more humble approach, you know. But I do think that existed in the 90s. It still exists today. Any musician, I'm no exception. It's always trying to find the balance between essentially wanting to be, you know, a rock star and just cut loose. And it's not even about gaining the success. It's about being able to play to thousands of people and have this incredible adventure. And that sort of lives side by side with the concept of, you know, you don't be a wanker, don't get ahead of yourself. This is just a job. Well, it's not really just a job. It's anyone, like, you know, I played a show to like 20,000 people. You can't really feel like that's a job, but it is a job. But I don't look at it like that. I look at it as an adventure, a wonderful adventure. And because I think sometimes if you go too far into it's a job thing, you can lose the madness of spontaneity and just let it cutting loose. And that's something for me personally I really like. But they, as you mentioned, because they've grown up around it, they have their own approach to things. And I do think they're a little bit more savvy. Like Lonnie played at the Palais with us when he was like 14. They've gone to Splendor so many times, seen me play so many times, been backstage at festivals, had their own bands and stuff. And so I think you're probably right. It's a little bit more, I would say a bit more of an experienced background. And it'll be very interesting to see how it turns for them, because they're both definitely good enough to have careers in the business. I think they're really fine musicians. And I'd really like to keep playing with them as long as I can, as long as they'll have me, you know, as long as the dad doesn't get too daggy for them, you know.
Cheshire Vaglava came out in 1993. Fuck, we're old.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? It's funny, though. It doesn't I think sometimes the music and the audiences are definitely a big part of, if we were always playing to really audiences that are just our age, it'd be awesome, obviously. But I think seeing the music reinvigorated consistently by new generations at least gives me a very youthful feeling, and I don't really feel old when I'm playing. It's just before and after, I guess. So it's we're definitely old, but I'm still really happy to be here, and I'm very, I guess, proud and a little bit humbled by the fact that we've been able to be such a successful band for such a long time, considering where we came from.
Considering that, you know, when the first album came out, chart-wise, it didn't really do too much, nor did the next few albums after that. You know, you're a fair number of albums down the way before suddenly we're in the ARIA chart. I would imagine that was a good thing, because that gave you the opportunity to develop without having, you know, the A&R people coming in over the top and telling you who you should have been.
I totally agree with you. It's like it can be a poison chalice to have your biggest record as your first record. We've seen it so many times. There's so many acts. They burst onto the scene when they're really young. They have this huge success, and they spend the rest of their lives trying to cope with the fame and fortune of that, and also the creative pressure of being able to repeat the success. Some manage to be able to do it, but many don't. So I think for us to have our biggest records kind of in the middle of our career, and even with Black Betty, even when that coming out and being such a hit when we really needed it, I think the timing was great. So you sort of, every band's different, but every band's the same in another way. You'll miss some opportunities that you probably should have taken, but you also really grab some opportunities that come your way. There's a lot of luck involved as well, obviously, and it's also a fickle business in the sense that you should never expect everyone to stay with you forever, because their tastes change. They get, move on to something else. All you can control and do is what you're doing. And that's why I always say to anyone that the instrument is your friend. Like the instrument is something that you can always rely on, and the work itself, just try and do the best work you can, and hopefully things will go your way,
Black Betty was a number one hit in Australia. It was also a big hit in various places around the world. I think a lot of Australians actually identify that song as a Spiderbait song. I'm not sure so many people actually know it was a cover. And when you did the cover, you're doing a cover of Ram Jam's Black Betty, but the original Black Betty was 1939.
I know, it's
the
mad.
Leadbelly song. It's a long time ago.
And Leadbelly, one of the legends of, I guess, early 20th century music. Dylan was a big fan of his. There's links to the old blues period of that acoustic blues, but also the folk music of him. And it's funny, it's particularly on the ABC or more eclectic interviews, I always get asked about this. And sometimes some people I did an ABC interview last year and they played the original recording of his. And I'm just like, the song's right there. It's exactly the same. It's so catchy, the lyric. And it's amazing that such a big song can really be encapsulated in such a short lyric, such a hooky thing. And it's that classic African-American ability within the blues to just write really catchy shit, like almost like the pre-runner to pop music in a sense. It's so hooky, I guess. I'm not sure if he was trying to write it that way. And all the covers of the songs that have been done in the past, that's the one common denominator it always has, is that vocal. And, we've got up with Dom Dollar's done a remix of this song, and it's become a really big live track for him in America and stuff, because everyone sort of knows it and here when he plays it. And we've got up and played with him a couple of times, combining his remix of our cover of the Ram Jam version of Leadbelly's song into this one huge epic thing, and a massive, his massive dance shows, DJ shows. And we're doing one here. That's why I'm in Adelaide. We're doing it tonight. And it's just epic just to hear the power of this song. And for this, legendary African-American singer-songwriter to write this one little piece of music that resonates so in so many ways throughout history. I mean, I think the song's going to go a lot longer than us, and I think it'll keep moving. It's as big now, particularly in around the world, as it's ever been. So it's a real trip for me.
When you consider 1939, the year that Leadbelly released Black Betty, that same year, the biggest pop star in the world was Bing Crosby, and it was the year that World War II started.
I know. Hitler invaded Poland. It's just mad. It's just mad. On so many levels, that is. We're really proud of the song, and even though it's a cover, we really still just love it so much. Still love Ram Jam's version and Leadbelly's version. I think the Nick Cave version. I think even Tom Jones might have covered it in the 80s. I don't know, but it's crazy to think if you go back in time and see the future with that what would happen. But that's the power of music, I guess. It's pretty simple art form, but it really has great emotional power, and that's probably the main reason that I'm a musician. I just really love tapping into that.
Another fuck it, I must be old moment must be when any artist releases a greatest hits. Did you feel like that when Spiderbait's greatest hits came out? Fuck, I'm old.
No, not really. It was. We were sort of proud of it. We honestly, I guess, we know we're old, but don't really think about it too much. It's sort of live in the present a lot. I mean, it's kind of weird when your kids get up on stage and that's a trip. But I always look at the past with great pride, and just the great adventure we've been on. And to have a greatest hits for us was just more funny than anything else. It was just like, because grew up on all of those greatest hits records that we used to buy from the servo or from the local record shop in Shepparton and stuff. So to have one of our own was a real trip. And I'm sure it's the same for any band, whether it's Queen or whoever it is, Beatles. I guess what a greatest hits is in some ways is like, I guess that you made it this far, so I guess you were lucky to be able to release it. But yeah, it was all good.
Why hasn't there been a new Spiderbait album since 2013? It
takes us a long time to do anything, but we're closer now than we've ever been. I've written a lot of stuff in the past year. We did a bunch of sessions with Frank Titaz, who did our last record in Melbourne last year. And then I did a bunch of sessions with Bonnie Knight, who I really love working with. Bonnie's amazing. And we suddenly went, oh, shit, we've got pretty much a record now. We sort of got it. We've got a few extra things. We need some of Janet's songs to put it together. But I think it's going to happen next year. I mean, the songs are all pretty much, I think it's 70% done. So finally it'll be nice. And it has taken us a long time. I feel the same way. It's sort of like it's been gnawing away at me for some time. I've done a lot of other projects, solo things, and worked with other people. But sometimes the older you get and the longer you play for, the more live performance becomes more effortless, but actually getting down to writing together becomes harder. So I just decided that it was easier if I just write songs at home myself and then take them to the guys and see what they liked. And that's proven to be I guess, an easier way to do it. And then everyone will add their flavors, and it's sounding sick. We really like it so far. So yeah, talk to you next year.
There's also 2009 we have to go back to for Kram's mixtape. I mean, that's as old as the kids.
I know. It's weird. And it's funny. I think one thing that's come in recent years is I'm a lot more focused on, and I love that record. I also love the album I did with Richie Lewis from Tumbleweed, The Hot Rollers. That's a really good record. But I'm a lot more focused on what needs to be done for a specific project. So that's kind of my plan is to do the new Spiderbait record, because I know the fans are really keen and deserve it. And also we just love to make another record while we can. You just never know what's around the corner with this sort of stuff called life. But then I've just got a whole bunch of other solo stuff that I've been focusing on too, and I'm finding it a lot easier to put, okay, that sounds like solo. This is a good solo vibe. And I know working with Bonnie, she was helpful in that way to say, oh, that sounds like a Kram solo thing. And then you sort of conceptualize what sort of show you want to do, what kind of persona. Because when we did the Led Zeppelin show last year with Ark, I just loved lead singing so much, and I was really blown away that I could sing like that, all that Robert Plant stuff so effortlessly. It was just like, this is awesome. And I loved the freedom of being a lead singer and all this stuff. And I guess I've always been a lead singer from behind the drum kit, but it's taken me this long to finally feel comfortable about being out the front consistently. So that's kind of helped to shape my solo idea. And then putting these other songs, thinking, oh, that sounds like a Spiderbait song, let's do that. And then so you suddenly put all these things in the right places. And I think it's taken me probably about 10 years to really get that right. I know since mixtape, it's such a varied record, but that was the concept behind it. But yeah, it takes you a while sometimes to be able to get your act together, not in terms of your abilities, but just in terms of your decision making, the process, which will give the projects the best chance and make them shine.
The all important question: do you still have the Ferrari?
No, it was a Maserati, not a Ferrari.
A Maserati.
Maserati Merak, 2+2, 1974. It was a lovely car. It's immortalized in my clip to one of my solo songs, Silk Suits, where I turned up to a tennis court and played tennis against Alicia Molik. Alicia was kind enough to be in that clip with me, and Nick Sester from Jet was the referee. And I think Nick had a big night. He really didn't want to be there, but he's such a sweet mate of mine. He's like, yeah, okay. So it's quite bizarre. But no, I bought a house in Byron, and I'm like, I've got to get rid of this car because there's so many potholes. So I drive an old Subaru now. I'm a beach bum. So, but the sports car Melbourne days were great days. I had a good time.
What inspired you to buy a Maserati in the first place?
Oh, it's just it's a classic rock star thing. It's like I got a huge check, and I'm like, well, I think I'll buy a sports car. It was awesome. It was so fun. But I did nearly crash it a few times, and that's when I was like, oh, I don't know if you've ever been skiing and you're just going way too fast, and then you sort of almost have a crash, and you go, oh, this is really the greatest fun I've ever had, but I don't want to die, so I think I'll stop. And that's kind of what it was like for me. I gave it a good crack for a few years, and now I'm much more like, I'll stick to the bicycle now.
You've got the lookout dates, like you've had Nick Sester in your video. You've got Nick Sester on the tour.
It'll be really great. I know Nick's a dear friend of mine, and I also, I play in a band with Mark as well, the bass player from Jet. So him and I play in Ark together. And, Cam's lovely, and the other guys that, they're all, we played with them. The first time we played together for a number of years, we played at a supercar show last year, which was really fun. And also all the other bands. I mean, playing with all the other guys will be great. We always love playing with Magic Dirt and Jebediah, and playing with Grinspoon and Veronicas will be classic. So looking forward to the tour heaps. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, we look forward to all those dates. Sandstone, February 22 until Mornington on the 23rd of March. A whole month of you guys on the road having a bit of party with all your mates. It
looks like a great festival, eh? I mean, I've played some of these venues before, and we did. I think it's the same guys doing Lookout. We did Lookout last year with, I think it was with Queens of the Stone Age and Pond and the Chats, and the shows were fantastic. So I think this will be just the same. So yeah, and these types of tours and these types of festivals, they're always really epic. So yeah, I can't wait to play these huge shows. It'll be sick.
And we will hold you to a new Spiderbait album for 2026. In the event that it does not happen, we want a Kids of Kram album in 2026.
No, I think, well, I mean, judging by the sound of it, it's all pretty getting really close now. Just have to get the next bunch of stuff. So yeah, it's looking really good for next year.
Perfect. Great to talk to you, Kram.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it.